Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome to the War Room, episode 42, and let's get right into it. Last week I did very little other than From the Depths. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, it's one of those voxel-based building games. It's basically Minecraft for ships, submarines, airplanes, skyships, fortresses, space bases, whatever. It's still in early access, but for some reason it just, I don't know, it works like heroin to my system. It is so incredibly addictive. And it's addictive up to this level that I could be playing that game and somehow 5, 6, 7, 8 hours could have passed before I realized, oh, hey, wait up. It's about 2:30 a.m. right now. I might want to get some sleep. And then you go to bed, and your brain is still focused on the game. You're still trying to focus on solving design challenges. You're still trying to focus on what does that design for that new warship that you're coming up with need. It was getting quite ridiculous. Now, being the psychology nerd that I am, I decided to look into this, and it turns out it's called something like flow. Just flow, like Flow. There's a research scientist who has been looking into this whole flow phenomenon, and he made a sort of model for it. He says when you have more challenges than you have skill, you're in a zone called anxiety. You don't really know what to do. You don't really know what's going on. You don't really know how to proceed. Basically, let's say you're starting out playing Wargame. It is completely overwhelming because your skill level is far below the challenge. So you really don't know what's going on, what you should be paying attention to, what units there are, what you're looking at. You're going to get anxious. Similarly, if you have, or actually alternatively, if you have more skill than you have challenges, you're going to get bored. This is something that we've probably all encountered in games. You start out and you think, wow, yeah, it's great. I'm getting to learn this new game. And after a while you go, nah, I don't know. It's no longer very interesting. It's no longer grabbing me as much as it used to. And for me, this is definitely the case with XCOM. XCOM has a sort of reversed flow state, as it were. Whereas initially, when you're starting out in XCOM, you have a bunch of rookies, they don't know how to shoot for worth a damn, and you're going to be in the sort of, let's say, anxiety area, because the challenge to your troops is way higher than their skill level. But then, after a while, let's say after a couple of months in-game have passed, you're suddenly looking at your troops, which are far better than the enemy. So the skill level of your troops and the skill level of, let's say, you as a player is way higher than the challenges that the game can throw at you. And suddenly you get bored and you stop playing. Same thing for World of Warships, for example. If you're not being challenged enough, if you're not in that flow state where the challenge that is posed to you is similar to the skill level that you have, then you're not really going to keep playing. And this could be, for example, in World of Warships or any of the other grinding games, that you've finally achieved what you wanted to achieve. You've finally gotten all the vehicles, all the ships, all the airplanes, all the whatever that you wanted to get, and that's it. There's no more challenge. So, boom, all of a sudden you drop out of the challenge zone right into boredom, and you stop playing. Now, for me, From the Depths hit all of the right buttons. I could continue to improve on my skill level. I could continue to improve on the design. I could continue to improve my ship so that they not only performed better but also looked better. I could continue with the campaign and slowly find out what works and what doesn't work without having stakes which are too high, so that if you have something destroy you, lose the campaign instantly. Although I gotta say, the campaign from the Depths, it was quite punishing. I think I started over about 8 times before I finally got past the first, well, I don't know, 2 battles or something like that. And I started to notice that this game was just becoming a sort of all-consuming force. And that is quite unusual for me, actually. Normally I play a bit of Wargame, I play a bit of World of Warships, I do some XCOM, the Wavecom Defense. I record some videos here and there, I focus on getting some new clients for the body language business, and this week I just did not have any of that. Sure, I did some work, sure I did some Wargame, although I think the last time I saw Wargame was when I was recording the last War Room from last week. So I didn't play Wargame at all for a week, which is quite unusual. But also the fact that I kept mulling this thing over in my mind, and that even at, let's say, 2:30 AM, when I was finally supposed to go to bed, I just couldn't sleep because my mind was still processing, still gathering, still finding out what was going on. And you just keep going in circles. And I probably could have kept going for multiple hours more. Now, this scientist has come up with a couple of things that are required to get into this flow state. And let's just see if that works for any of you. Let's see if you have any games that hit those sweet spots. The first thing that you need is what he calls a clarity of goals and immediate feedback on the progress. Now, let's compare this to World of Warships or any of the wargaming titles. You have a goal. You want to have let's say you want to have a special tank or a specific ship. That's the goal. Do you get immediate feedback on the progress? Absolutely. You have an XP level that you need, you have an XP level on the ship, and if those two don't match up yet, then you don't have the ship yet, of course. Now you can continue to grind and you're going to immediately say, okay, I got another 1500 XP, I got another 700 XP, I got another 1200 XP. And so you keep leveling up, you keep getting closer to your goal. So World of Warships definitely checks that box. From the depths, I didn't really have that much of a goal that was set by the game. But I did have a goal that was set by me. I wanted to keep improving, wanted to keep understanding the game better and better. And it worked. I got immediate feedback on the progress. If I thought I had a ship design that worked, and I got blown out of the water in less than 5 minutes, then I got some interesting feedback on the design. Second part, you have complete concentration on what you're doing at the present moment, with no room in your mind for any other information. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm playing Wargame, that is usually the case. There is just so much going on that you need complete concentration. There is not really any, let's say, mental processing room left. Maybe you can put on Netflix, maybe you can put on music, but let's say that's about it. I almost didn't have that with From the Depths. I just was completely consumed in the game. And that definitely checked that box. Next, actions and awareness are merged. A guitar player merges with the instrument and becomes the music that he plays. Now, I'm not exactly sure if I would say that I became the design that I created. I think that's a bit out there. But it is definitely... well, I'd say that the awareness part is definitely true, because you just become so immersed in a game, so utterly absorbed in it, that there is really, really little else going on. And that ties in very closely with the fourth point, which is losing awareness of oneself or self-consciousness. So, I'm not saying you're losing consciousness because of the game, although I suppose it's possible if you play it too much and you forget to eat. Losing awareness of oneself or self-consciousness is also a common experience. Interestingly, after each flow state, the sense of self is strengthened and one becomes more than he or she was before. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but losing awareness of oneself, yeah, I'd say I'd had that. I'd say that I lost awareness to the point that I was like, yeah, I'll just play for another hour or something. And all of a sudden 4 hours had passed, so loss of self-awareness, check. Then, a sense of control over what one is doing and no worries about failure. Now this is something that I noticed a massive difference in Wargame versus World of Warships versus From the Depths. Because In From the Depths, if you have your ship designed, or if you have your ship or your airplane blown up, it doesn't really matter. Um, there's no really worry about failure. But if you have the same thing in, for example, Wargame, where you're going to be playing Wargame and you don't want to fail, you don't want to lose, because on the other side of the screen is usually another player. And that is going to really pressure you into performing either better than you normally do, or it's going to make you completely anxious, and it's going to put you in that, oh crap, I need to play better mode. The same for World of Warships, where you want to get ahead as fast as possible, so that ties into the first thing, the clarity of goals and immediate feedback on the progress. You want to get progress. Now, of course, you can play the best that you can possibly play, but sometimes you get crap teams. And if you get multiple crap teams in a row and you notice that every time you're the best player on the team and yet you still lose, that's incredibly frustrating. But there's not that much that you can do about that. So a sense of control over what one is doing with no worries of failure, I would say, does not really apply that much to World of Warships. It does apply to From the Depths, because for me, I wasn't worried about failure. Failure was feedback. Failure, if there is such a thing, was, okay, that didn't really work out as well as I had expected, or I fired a missile, I manually constructed a missile in-game, and it went completely somewhere else than where I'd expected. Is it failure? No. I found it rather interesting to see what the missile was doing and how I could improve upon it. So, no worries of failure. And then, a very, very important point, transformation of time. Usually time passes much faster than expected. However, the reverse can also be true. Now for me, as mentioned, absolutely. I could be playing this game for what I thought would be an hour, and end up going for multiple hours. And I'm talking that I started out, for example, at 1500 hours. So that's 3 p.m. for those of you not really into military time. But with the wargame community we have, I don't think that there's too many people who are not aware of military time. Anyway, I could start playing at 1500, have dinner at about 1830, 1900, take a break, come back to about, I'd say 2030, and then continue playing to 2:30. So that's almost a 10-hour session. And that is just ridiculous. I usually don't play a game that much. I play various different games because they press different buttons. But playing a game that much, that's something new. So transformation of time, absolutely. And finally, activities are intrinsically rewarding. This means they have an end in themselves. And you do something because you want to without any other end goal just being an excuse. So, this means that the things that you're doing them because you like doing them, not because someone is telling you to do them. That's a very important point. Because, of course, especially with computer games, there's usually no one who's going to tell you to do something. But some people have been known to get all of these, let's say, checkboxes for a flow state from their job. Except that they might not be doing it because they want to. They might be doing it because their boss is telling them to. So in that case, the activity might be intrinsically rewarding, or it might be an extrinsic motivation or an extrinsic reward, which means that you're doing something because someone else is going to reward you for it. So, sorry. To quickly wrap up that, clarity of goals and immediate feedback is required. Complete concentration, actions and awareness are merged. You lose awareness of yourself. Sense of control over what you're doing. Transformation of time. It passes faster or slower than expected. And activities are intrinsically rewarding. Just checked all the boxes for me. And not just the psychological boxes, but also what I look for in a game. It's getting ahead of yourself, just learning and improving. And it's finding better ways to do stuff. It's getting feedback. It's doing stuff with ships. It's doing stuff with weapons. So all of this is really, really checked. And to add to that, Some games have a sort of specific boxed off length, a sort of match time. For example, Wargame. Let's say your average match lasts, what, 40 minutes, maybe? Your average match in World of Warships, about 20 minutes, tops. There's no way you can exceed that. But in From the Depths, you don't have that. And these are what I tend to call domino games. Or just one more turn games. Let's say Civilization. Another very, very familiar example. Yeah, no, I'll just do a few more turns. I'll just do one more turn and then I'll wrap up. Yeah, no you won't. In that turn, you're gonna get new information. You're gonna go, I don't know, maybe Gandhi's gonna declare war on you as always. And you're gonna go, oh yeah, no, I just need to finish this war before I move on. Or in Kerbal Space Program for me, I just need to finish this rocket design and see if it works. Oh hey, I've got a bunch of new science, maybe I can get some new spacecraft, and maybe I can improve upon my design, and maybe I can launch a space station. And before you know it, about 4 more hours have passed. So those are what I call domino games. There's no specific segment, there's no real clear-cut start and finish, unless you say so. And I had to actually force myself to stop playing From the Depths, and I did actually do quite a lot of work last week. But I thought, wow, this is actually very, very interesting from a psychological perspective. How could I transport all of this into a job? Because apparently that is what I need in a job. Or that is what I need to do, let's say in a money-making capacity. Because that is going to get my attention. It's going to hold my attention. But honestly, I haven't found it yet. And the reason that I'm sharing it with you is that I wanted to give you a bit of information on, let's say, how your brain works, or how you could use this and think of, hey, this is something that I really, really quite enjoy. Does it check all of these boxes? Maybe it does. So maybe then you're in a flow state. And if it does, if you do have the capacity to keep doing it for hours without getting tired or without getting bored, then you have found something that is really, really quite rare. Or at least it is for me. Because aside from what I had with From the Depths, that complete flow state, the only real area where I got that before is, I think, Kerbal Space Program, and probably the X series of games. So that's X2, X3 The Threat, no, X2 The Threat, X3 Reunion, X3, oh god, what were all the names? Anyway, those space simulator games, where there again is no real clear direction of what you need to be doing. You set your own goals, you notice how close you're getting to completing your goals, and you just keep going until you either fall off your chair because you're too tired, or you fall apart because you forgot to eat. Not that that has ever happened to me, but I imagine that it could happen. Anyway, so that is it about the psychological stuff and From the Depths. Now, as I mentioned, I have been doing some work, and the work that I did was completing my first online course on body language, so I'm very, very happy with that. It's an online course on how you can use body language to do a better job interview. Because let's face it, a lot of the interview part, or a lot of the getting a job part, a lot of the application process is going to depend on how people perceive you. And how people perceive you is, again, for a large part influenced by the way that you hold yourself. So, what does your body language say? What does it tell others about your intentions? How can you improve your first impression? How can you make sure that you get the right vibe of confidence and professionalism across? And that's exactly what I created an online course on. Now, in the description down below, I've added a discount voucher, so you can get quite a lot of discount on my course. And this is especially for you guys being subscribers. So if you have any job applications coming up, make sure you get that course. It's not that expensive. Don't worry about that. I try to keep this quite affordable, so you can actually get a lot of benefit out of it without paying too much for it. So if you have job applications coming up, check that out and let me know what you think. Aside from that, there are of course quite a few interesting movies coming out, and yesterday I went to visit Suicide Squad. Really, really enjoyed that. If you haven't been yet, definitely go. It's a really, really nice movie. I gotta say, Margot Robbie in the role of Harley Quinn is really, really good. I'm getting continuously, yeah, I'd say continuously more impressed with that actress. Because she seems to be able to just do anything that you throw at her. I think she's been Jane in Tarzan, she's been in About Time, she's been in, well, this movie then, Suicide Squad. She was in The Wolf of Wall Street. She's in all of these major titles from the last couple of, let's say, years. And I think that she's here to stay. She's done a lot of movies and probably will continue to do so. Or at least I hope so, because let's face it, she's not that bad to look at. Other movie I went to see is Lights Out. A bit of the, let's say, horror thriller genre. Now, initially, a couple of years ago, I really didn't enjoy those horror movies. Or those movies like The Grinch or The Grudge, or sorry, not The Grinch. Close enough. The Grinch, no, that's the Christmas guy. The Grudge, The Ring, stuff like that. I just didn't quite enjoy it. But nowadays I find them actually rather amusing instead of actually being scary. But it was interesting going to see that thing in the cinema because people definitely thought that that was scary shit. People really scared, or people really frightened after some scenes, which was another, let's say, interesting psychological phenomenon to observe. Why are they that scared? They know it's a movie. A lot of things are predictable in these movies. The moments when you need to, as I usually call it, brace for impact. Because another one of those moments is going to come out when the bad guy is going to come out of the cabin, or is going to come out from under the bed, or whatever. So most of the time you can see it coming, but I guess some people just didn't. And that was interesting. I'd say Lights Out is about 7.5 out of 10, something like that. It's not fantastic, but it is amusing. So if you still have a movie that you need to go watch, make sure it's Suicide Squad first and Lights Out second. Now, about Wargame. Maybe you already noticed, but my, let's say, my ranked series is not really doing that well. I got my ass handed to me in 7.5 minutes last week. And I have done an after-action review also in the same video to see exactly how I was beaten. Now, it's interesting to see what kind of comments I'm getting from other people. They're asking me if I've ever even played the UK deck or if I've ever even played Wargame. Yeah, I'd say so. I've done about 1200 hours, so yeah, I'd say so. But ranked is just a completely different creature. It's a completely different animal from what you're normally doing in Wargame. So there is still a lot left for me to learn there. And the good part is that I just cannot go any lower than my current rank of private. So the only way is up, as they say. The only way is up. So this week I'll be doing more ranked games. I'll probably be throwing up another Tactical tomorrow and Tactical Tuesday. Saturday will be another Saturday subscriber video. So a Saturday replay that one of you guys sent in. Now about that, I've been getting quite a lot of replays, and just be aware that I cannot feature all of them. I also got quite a few replays of people who just sent in, yeah, this was an interesting match, have a look at my right flank. That doesn't really tell me anything, and those are reviews or replays that I just completely ignore. Because if I have to dig into what happened in your game, then I'm just going to be spending so much time at it that I don't have that time available. So, a description for your replay where it says at the X minute marker this happened, or have a look at what happened there. This match was interesting because those are the games that I'll be featuring. Those are the games that are interesting. Those are the games that explain why they should be captured on the channel. So if you do want to send in your game, by all means do so. But beware that if you only have a description of one sentence, then you're not particularly likely to actually get anything. You're not particularly likely to get featured. I'll probably be doing some more World of Warships if I can turn myself away from the depths. And other than that, there is of course still the XCOM Wavecom Defense. I'm doing quite alright, holding on. And I gotta say that right now, the game isn't too tough yet. emphasis on yet, because you never know. So that's what is going to be going on the channel. I'll probably be doing some more promotion work for my body language course for job applications or for job interviews. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions about the channel, questions for me, questions about what I'm going to be doing, questions, whatever questions you might have, let me know. And I'll be happy to answer all of those questions. Now, with that, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Try to find what gets you into the flow state, and if you want to read more about that, I put up another couple of links to that in the description down below, so you can do a bit of further investigation or further digging if you want to. And with that, again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more videos.